What's up, Met fans? Welcome back. Talkin Mets with Rob. How's everybody doing? Before I get started talking about the 3 New York Mets that are going to be on the trade block, don't forget, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit on that like button. If you enjoy all my content, want to see more, want to get notified when I post my videos and when I go live, you guys know what to do. Hit on that subscribe button, everybody. All right, guys. So there is 3 New York Mets that are going to be on the trade block as soon as the lockout is over. Those 3 guys we will talk about in just a second. But don't forget, guys, the New York Mets still have holes to fill. And free agency is always nice to fill those holes, but sometimes it can't always happen. Sometimes there's competition to sign a free agent, such as a Kris Bryant, such as a Carlos Rodon, or another player of that caliber that can fill holes to solidify this New York Mets roster. So 3 guys that are going to be on the trade block to bring back starting pitching, to bring back a big bullpen arm, to bring back a big-time third baseman. So which 3 New York Mets are going to be on the trade block to help bring a big-time name to the New York Mets to solidify this New York Mets roster that has playoff and world championship aspirations? The first guy on the list is J.D. Davis. We all know that J.D. Davis is not a good third baseman defensively. We all know that. But he is extremely good with the bat. He is probably tradable and wanted by some teams who might need him as a DH. But you can also think, in the Mets' perspective, that the Mets might use J.D. Davis as a DH. So, is he more valuable with the Mets, or is he more valuable for another team? Now, J.D. Davis alone is not going to get you a big-time name back. That's obvious. Now, if you put J.D. Davis with a top prospect, now we're talking. But I do think J.D. Davis could be one of the 3 that are on that trade block where the Mets can look to get a bullpen arm. Not a Josh Hader, maybe a guy like Taylor Rogers on the Minnesota Twins. That might be an option. That might be an easy swap. He is affordable. He is cheap. And getting Taylor Rogers will definitely solidify his bullpen a little bit more. And it will be a left-hander that the Mets so desperately need. So J.D. Davis, should he be on the trade block? I say yes. J.D. Davis on the trade block. The Mets could package him with a prospect to get a big-time bullpen arm, or they can get other players that the Mets might need as in the starting pitcher or a third baseman. So J.D. Davis is number 1 on the list of Mets that are on the trade block post-lockout. The second guy on the list is somewhat of a fan favorite. He had an extremely good 2020, hit a walk-off home run against the Braves the last game of the season in 2019, but struggled mightily in 2021, and that is none other than Dominic Smith. Dominic Smith, we know that he can play first base. He is one of the better defensive first basemen in baseball, basically. There is not a lot of guys that can play first base like Dominic Smith can. But the problem is, he never plays there. If he's not filling in to give Alonso a day off, he is patrolling left field for the New York Mets. And that is a no-no, Mets fans. Just a no-no. You can't have Dominic Smith as your everyday left fielder and expect to do big things during the season, in the playoffs, and possibly World Series. Now, you can also say that why not just put Dominic Smith at first base and let Alonso be the DH? I think the Mets are primed and give every opportunity for Pete Alonso to play first base every day. Pete Alonso, when he first came up, had problems at first base defensively, but he progressively got better. No, he is not Dominic Smith. We all know that. But he is serviceable. He can make big-time plays defensively, Alonso can. Again, not Dominic Smith, but with Dominic Smith, there could be a team out there that needs a first baseman who, reasonably priced in Dominic Smith, has a couple of more years left of team control, and knowing that he can play left field in an emergency situation, but can use him as an everyday first baseman, is a big time plus for a lot of teams that are looking for a first baseman. What could the Mets get back for Dominic Smith? Once again, by himself, probably not a lot, but packaging him with another prospect could get you possibly a third baseman. Now, who that third baseman is, who knows? But this all depends on if the Mets strike out in the free agent market. Dominic Smith can be on the trade block and probably will be on the trade block if the Mets think they can get a good enough return packaging Dominic Smith or J.D. Davis together. That would be interesting, right? Packaging those two guys and maybe a top 15 prospect to bring another bat or a top of the line reliever like a Josh Hader or a Craig Kimbrell. There is options out there. The Mets have options. That is the reason why J.D. Davis and Dominic Smith are on the trade block post-lockout. As soon as the lockout is over, the Mets are going to put these on the trade block and see what value they can get for these guys. And big old number one, the last guy on the list, number 3, is another fan favorite. A guy we thought that was going to be a well over 300 hitter. A guy that was going to be in the top of the lineup for many years to come. Hard-nosed, just like New Yorkers. We thought he was going to be probably borderlining on all-star games. Definitely over 300 average. Not seeing a lot of power. But is a guy that you can put him in the top of the lineup. You know he's going to hit 300. Get on base. Work the count. But that was 2019. In 2020 and 2021 was a big time decrease in performance across the board for this player. And that is none other than Jeff McNeil, guys. We all love Jeff McNeil. That hard-nosed, gritty player that puts his heart and soul into every at-bat, every defensive play. He can play left field. He can play right field. He can play second. He can play even third base. But anywhere you put him, right field, left field, third base, second base, he is not great defensively. I think one of his worst positions is second base. And if the Mets keep Jeff McNeil, he is going to play second base, ladies and gentlemen. And that's a problem to me. Because not only does he have to be the double play pair with Francisco Lindor, as we all know, they are not on the greatest of terms. And if you have to get rid of one, what guy are you going to get rid of up the middle? You can't get rid of Lindor. He's still here for another 10 years. So the other option is Jeff McNeil. Not only did he have problems with defensive positioning and didn't want to listen to coaches and even some of his players about defensive positioning, he was awful in 2020 and 2021 in his offensive stats. Jeff McNeil is not a power hitter. Somebody needs to tell Jeff McNeil he is not a power hitter. He is an average guy. A guy that should be in the top of the lineup, batting over 300. Getting on base for the big boppers. If Jeff McNeil was so much of a power hitter, then you can put him 5th, 6th, 7th in the lineup and he would flourish. But when the Mets put him 5th, 6th, or 7th in the lineup, he did not flourish because he is in a no man's land in the 5 through 7 spot where the Mets put him last year and in 2020. He is not a guy that can be in the later part of the lineup and expect him to do damage, because you expect those guys in that part of the lineup to do some damage with the home run, with the power. Jeff McNeil is not a power guy. Jeff McNeil needs to get back on track to his 300 average, a gap-to-gap hitter, get on base, work the counts, and occasionally he would connect on one and hit a home run. Jeff McNeil should be hitting between 12 and 15 home runs, not trying to aspire to be a 20 to 30 home run guy. It's just not going to happen. And I don't think Jeff McNeil is going to realize that. And that's a huge problem for me, because if he's not hitting 300, he is useless in this lineup in the 5 through 7 spot because he's not batting anywhere near the top of the lineup with this current team. Marte, Nimmo, Lindor, 1, 2, 3 in that lineup is one of the spots you could have put Jeff McNeil. Jeff McNeil is not batting in those positions. So what is left? You're not putting him 4th. That's Alonso. You're probably not putting him 5th. That's probably an Escobar. So where do you have him? 6th or 7th? Who cares if we have a 300 hitter in 6th or 7th? It really doesn't matter because Alonso and Lindor are knocking in Nimmo and Marte. Jeff McNeil needs to get back to his 300 average way, and I don't see him doing that. So the best option for the Mets is to use Jeff McNeil either on its own or in a package with another prospect to get a big-time third baseman or another big-time starting pitcher in this rotation. And Jeff McNeil is the perfect candidate out of these 3 guys to make a deal happen. And if there's one guy that I think is off the board for the Mets that is going to get traded, that is Jeff McNeil. Some Met fans might not be happy about that, but let's be honest, guys. If you believe Jeff McNeil can be a 300 hitter again, I think the Mets should keep him around. But are you going to play him at second base with Lindor, who don't have a good relationship? That's a disaster waiting to happen, ladies and gentlemen. So, when it comes to these 3 guys, Jeff McNeil is the one guy that I can see on the move. There's about a 95% chance that he's gone. JD Davis, I think, can be the perfect DH. If you want to keep Dominic Smith, I can see him being a role player. A guy who comes off the bench to give Alonso days off. If there is a DH, Alonso can DH 1 or 2 days a week. Dominic Smith can play first base. And every now and then, if you want to platoon Kana and Dominic Smith, you can do that. But the bigger concern, I can see Dominic Smith and JD Davis being a part of this team somehow, some way. I do not see Jeff McNeil being a part of this team. So there you have it, guys. The 3 New York Mets that are going to be on the trade block when the lockout ends: JD Davis, Dominic Smith, and Jeff McNeil. Once again, guys, if you enjoyed this video, hit on that like button. If you enjoy all my content, want to see more, want to get notified when I post my videos, and when I go live, you guys know what to do. Hit on that subscribe button, everybody. Mets fans, let me know what you think of these 3 guys. Who would you want to trade? But you also have to remember, guys, when you trade these guys, you want to get something of value. You just don't want to give them away. So you can't say, oh, let's get rid of JD Davis because he's useless for this team. Okay, what are you going to get? A minor leaguer? You're probably not getting much. So you have to think specifically, what can you get for each one of these guys? Jeff McNeil is the biggest candidate that can probably get you the most back out of the 3. Thank you guys for all the support, and as always, Met fans, let's go